All right, good morning, everybody. Let's try it again. Good morning. Good morning, and welcome to Walter Reed. So my name is Randall Clark. I'm the director of the Walter Reed Local Redevelopment Authority. We are the instrument within the Office of the Deputy Mayor for Planning and Economic Development that's responsible for executing on the reuse of the Walter Reed campus. This is a really special day for us as we prepare to break ground on not only the first residential development here on the campus, but the first affordable housing project here on the campus and dedicated to quite a special population. I want to just first acknowledge, before we get started, acknowledge some of the folks who are here, starting first with all of the Ward 4 people here, for your council member and mine, Councilmember Brandon Todd. The Director of the Mayor's Office of Veterans Affairs, Eli Ross. Department of Housing and Community Development Director, Polly Donaldson. DC Housing Finance Agency Director, Todd Lee. Here. DC Housing Authority Director, Tyrone Garrett. DHS Director, Lauren Zellinger. Then everyone from the Walter Reed Community Advisory Committee that I've gotten had the pleasure of working with for over a decade. Some of whom are here. I don't see our two ANC commissioners, ANC Commissioner from 4A, Steve Watley, and from 4B, Tanya Topolewski, former ANC Commissioner Brenda Speaks, but I do see, representing Tacoma, Alice Giancola. On the committee from Shepherd Park will be Lila Batiste, representing Shepherd Park. I don't see. And Margaret Singleton, representing Brightwood. I'd also like to acknowledge all of the representatives here from We'll work on that. Oh. Got a little wind out here. All right. Thank you. All of the representatives who are here from Help USA, can you folks wave your hands? And we'll hear a little more about HELP later on in the program. And then, of course, my colleagues from DEMPED. DEMPED folks, wave your hands. I'd like to give a special acknowledgement to the Walter Reed team within DEMPED that helps me make this possible. Malika Abernathy-Scriven, who's over here saving the signs from falling over. Jennifer Castor. You can wave. And Susan Longstreet, and as many of you saw, the person pointing you toward parking as you came in, Brian Steckler, who spent the last 6 months with us. I cannot even quantify the hours that have been put in by the folks at DEMPED to get us to this point, so thank you to all of you. So I'm here. Oh, you see me now? So I'm here representing Deputy Mayor Kenner. And if he were here, many of us know what he would say. He would tell you that the mayor gave him 3 jobs. That's right, you heard the DEMPED folks kick in. The mayor gave him 3 jobs to work on tax revenue, jobs, and affordable housing. And which also means that I have those 3 jobs, right? And with Walter Reed, we're very proud that we're going to be able to deliver on all of those fronts. At completion, Walter Reed will deliver over 3 million square feet of development, 5,000 jobs, and as that one banner that decided to fall over was telling you, over 2,100 units of housing, including 432 affordable units. And when Mayor Bowser took office 3 years ago, she promised to move big projects forward. And projects don't get much bigger than they do here at Walter Reed, do they? Can I ask a question? How many people here is this your first time on the campus? There's a lot of hands. Did you know it was this big? No, you didn't. It's huge and just a great opportunity. I'm sure. I'm not going to use your line, council member, about the opportunity we have here, but it's a huge opportunity. I'm proud to say that we're delivering on that promise here. So far, since we closed on this property in November of 2016, we've opened the DCI and Lamb schools just a block away down Main Drive. For folks who don't know, there are nearly 1,000 kids who go to school on this campus every day. We've opened the DC Fire and EMS Engine Company 22 on Georgia Avenue. Some of you may have seen that on your way in. That was a multi-decade search to find a new firehouse for the district, and we were able to accomplish that here. And we finalized plans for new retail and housing options on the site of this old hospital. So much more is coming, including world-class healthcare, retail, residential, and homes for seniors. Nobody clapped for homes for seniors. I thought that was an applause line. We'll have a place for conferences, gathering, recreation, and new retail opportunities on the Georgia Avenue corridor. Today, we gather to celebrate even more progress at Walter Reed, our first affordable housing community. And to just talk about this opportunity some more, I'm going to invite up a person who's been our partner every step of the way, and for me and many of us who've worked on this process from the beginning, every step of the way means over a decade. I offer your council member and mine, Brandon Todd.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I think we can do better than that. We're about to break ground on 77 units for veterans. Good afternoon, everyone. Excellent. Well, my name is Brandon Todd, and I have the privilege to represent Ward 4 on the Council of the District of Columbia, and I am just thrilled that we are breaking ground on the first affordable housing opportunity right here at Walter Reed. Let's hear it for Walter Reed. I would like to thank a few people. I want to start with Randall Clark and Malika Abernathy, who are everything Walter Reed in the government of the District of Columbia. They work diligently every single day to make sure that everyone in our government is squarely focused on moving forward with the Walter Reed project. I want to thank Polly Donaldson, Todd Lee, and Tyrone Garrett for working every day to bring high-quality, affordable housing to all 8 wards of the city of Washington, D.C. I want to thank our partners at Help USA because we're really thrilled that this could be one of the first developments to get started right here at Walter Reed. And I want to thank folks in the community. Tony and Alice have been a part of the Walter Reed process probably before I was. And thank you all for being here every step of the way. And let's also acknowledge any of our advisory neighborhood commissioners and civic association leaders that are present. Let's give everybody a big round of applause. And as a council member representing, and I'm going to use my quote, the single greatest economic development opportunity that the District of Columbia will ever see, and that is Walter Reed, I am just thrilled, as I said before, that we're going to redevelop this campus into 66 acres, hundreds of thousands of square feet of retail, thousands of units of housing to include affordable housing, creating hundreds of jobs, 5,000 jobs, and nearly $1 billion in tax revenue generated over the next 3 decades. I couldn't be more pleased that this project is moving at the pace that it is. I did forget to acknowledge one person, and that's the director of the Mayor's Office on Veterans Affairs, and that's Eli Ross. Where's Director Ross? And I would also like to acknowledge all of our veterans that are here with us today. As we move towards the celebration of Memorial Day, I think it is fitting that we break ground on this project today, and I think it is fitting that we all give all of our veterans present a rousing round of applause for their service to our country. Thank you for serving this country. As was stated earlier, this 100% affordable Help USA building will bring 77 new units exclusively reserved for veterans who were previously homeless. And as chairman of the Council's Committee on Government Operations, I am dedicated to working with Director Ross and his office to find more ways to support our veterans. You have bravely served our nation, and so we are called upon to serve you in return. No one who's risked their life for this country should go without a roof over their heads, period. And it is simply a matter of our DC values. And today we take bold action to realize these values. I could not think of a more appropriate location for these affordable veterans units than here at Walter Reed, where over the course of a century, 150,000 active and retired personnel from all branches of the military came for life-saving medical treatment. For a century, Walter Reed was where veterans came for a second chance at life, and today we will ensure that that legacy lives on. Today, we recommit ourselves to ensuring that Walter Reed continues to be a place where we uplift and empower those who have served. I look forward to watching this construction move forward and continuing to build on our government's commitment to affordable housing, inclusive development, and supporting our veterans who've supported our country so much. So thank you for being here. I'm ready to turn some dirt. But before we do that, I'm going to invite the Director of the Mayor's Office on Veterans Affairs, Mr. Eli Ross.
All right. Thank you very much, Councilmember Todd, and I could not agree with you more. And thank you for your continued leadership and support of veterans on the council. All right. I am very pleased to be here with you this morning. I couldn't think of a better place as we approach Memorial Day to spend our Friday opening homeless veteran units. I'm so proud that we get to help break ground with Help USA and their veteran housing program. But before I continue, there's a lot of people I would like to thank as well. Bruce Dino, Jonathan Smith, Gregory Simpkins, and George McMillan are here with us today. There are 4 veterans who represent those who will eventually be able to benefit from this housing unit in Ward 4. I'd also like to take a moment to recognize Clifton Lewis and U.S. Vets, which is our largest grant per diem provider in the city, providing transitional housing facilities to homeless veterans. And so that'll be part of the pipeline to get veterans into this facility once it is open. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank all of the current and former advisory board members for Mayor Bowser's advisory board on Veterans Affairs. So thank you very much for all of your dedication. And also today we have a number of veterans with us. We have veterans from the American Legion, the Veterans of Foreign Wars, Vietnam Veterans of America, and many others. Many individuals who were here receiving treatment, and this facility is a part of their life. And so there is no more appropriate way to dedicate this facility than to have them with us. So thank you very much. Let's give them a round of applause. As you know, the Bowser administration has been laser focused on affordable housing, building it, preserving it, and ensuring that it meets our city's safety standards. At the same time, we are also focused on making sure our veterans have a place to call home. This is one of those places, and we're very proud of that. That's why facilities such as this are so vitally important. Over the last 5 years, we have seen a 25% decrease in our homeless veteran population, and that alone deserves a round of applause. But we still have more work to do. Today's groundbreaking symbolizes our commitment to providing more permanent housing options for our veterans. Help USA will dedicate 77 units to the veterans who need it most in this city. Here, the residents will also enjoy newly renovated apartments, on-site supportive services, access to the recreation, amenities, and job service and opportunities on the larger Walter Reed campus. So as we near Memorial Day, on behalf of Mayor Bowser, thank you, veterans, and I look forward to coming back and cutting the ribbon when we welcome you home. Thank you very much. And I'd also like to bring up Help USA, David Claycore.
Good morning, everybody. I made some notes, but I'm really pretty bad at following my notes. So I'm going to probably just go a little bit off the cuff here, as I normally do at these things, because I get a little bit moved by the other speakers. And I wanted to introduce myself. I'm David Claycore. I'm the Chief Housing Officer of Help USA. I oversee projects like this in the areas that Help works. Help USA was founded in 1986 in New York City. We own and operate thousands of transitional housing and emergency shelter beds in New York City and Philadelphia and Las Vegas and some other places. And we are now up to 20 permanent housing facilities, which are projects like this that will house folks that are homeless and folks that are low income. So we're really proud to be part of this project. I'd like to say that I'm particularly proud to be part of this project. I've been involved in this project since I think 2009. I'm not sure. I think 2009 was the first time that we came to look at the site and responded to the NOI with the District of Columbia. And then I believe we were selected as the developer in 2010. I think I was still like in high school then, but like we thought we'd be done with this years ago, but these things take some time. So here we are, and we're really pleased to be here and very proud to be part of this project. I'd like to thank all the same people that have been thanked. I've been doing this work for a long time now, and I can't think of a project that I've been involved in that had more support from the city that it's in. agencies here in Washington, D.C., from the mayor's office on down, have been instrumental in this project. Polly Donaldson's group at DHCD, I always screw it up, HFA, DCHFA, DC Housing. It's a collaborative of multiple agencies here that provide the supports that we need, including money for bricks and sticks, money for social services, and money for housing subsidy, all of which you need to make a population of homeless individuals thrive in a new environment. So thank you to all the agencies, and thank you for walking me through a new process, not being my first project and hopefully not our last project in Washington, D.C. So thank you to the agencies. I would be remiss if I didn't thank some of the folks that helped us on our financing side and development side. So I'd like to thank Winsec and Associate Architects, who are over there somewhere, Ellisdale Construction, who are over there, whose job it's going to be to get this done on time and definitely on budget. I hope Ellisdale heard that. I'd also like to thank Chapman Todd, who's somewhere. Chapman has become a friend of mine, and Chapman has held my hand through this process the entire time, and I can't thank him enough for being our guide and our eyes and our ears here on the ground in Washington. So thank you, Chapman, and let's find another project. And then I'd like to thank our funders. We have a bunch of them. First and foremost, National Equity Fund, who is our tax credit investor. I don't believe they have anybody here today, but they'll... Oh, hey. And then I'd like to thank TD Bank, and I did see Glorabelle Cruz, who's my relationship manager there, with her lovely young son who came all the way down from New York to be here today. TD Bank is our lender on the project. And then I would like to thank a bevy of foundations. We don't normally have the type of foundation support that we had here, but we have a tremendous amount here, starting with the William S. Abel Foundation, who provided us, and Tom Normey, who provided us the first money in this deal way back in 2010, I think. And that helped us get off the ground. The Home Depot Foundation, I'm not sure if I think I saw somebody from Home Depot here. They were the second funder in way back in 2011. So those two foundations allowed us to do the infrastructure and start this project and get things going. The Harry and Jeanette Weinberg Foundation, I'm not sure if they're here today, but they helped us fill that final gap. City Community Foundations and the John Bon Jovi Soul Foundation, which is cool because hopefully John Bon Jovi will come to the ribbon cutting. So I want to thank all those folks. I apologize if I forgot anybody. Like I said, I'm not a very good student, and so I write notes and then I don't check my notes. It's just the story of my life. But I also wanted to say that this project is particularly special for me. I don't normally talk too much about my personal life, but I was born here in Washington. I did not grow up here, in full disclosure, but I am a Redskins fan, as hard as that is. And what's that? Yeah, go hockey. I'm happy for Caps fans. So I wanted to just take a moment to acknowledge that my father is here, who spent many years working here in D.C. in homeless services and is now retired and decided to come by and see this event today. So welcome, Dad. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Polly Donaldson. Thank you all, and we'll see you in a year for the ribbon cutting.
Well, who was here 10 years ago? Yeah, I was in a slightly different role, as everybody knows. But I want to say, first off, good morning. It's great to be here. I'm delighted to be here on behalf of the Department of Housing and Community Development. And of course, I was given a very clear mandate when I was appointed director by Mayor Bowser, by Deputy Mayor Kenner, to do more than ever had been done before in the area of housing production and housing preservation and revitalizing neighborhoods across the district. And if this project isn't demonstrative of that, there is no project like that. So first, I just want to say that clear direction and clear vision is really what makes it happen. But that's been true for this entire process of the Walter Reed project. And I keep seeing faces of people that I was in meeting after meeting, evening after evening over the past many years. And I know the dedication it took for the community and for the city and the private sector to be able to get to this point where we are today. I have some thank yous also, of course, Councilmember Todd, as always a pleasure to work work with you on projects such as this. Eli, my colleague, my fellow director, thank you for your eloquent words as well, honoring our veterans at this occasion. I don't hardly go anywhere without HFA Director Todd Lee, because we work together on so many projects, as you will hear in just a moment. Tyrone Garrett, Laura Zylander, all the members of the Walter Reed CAC. It's so great to see you again and on this very happy occasion. And of course, Help USA, because they were really such a driving force in making this happen. The DEMPED team, Randall, how long? Okay, yes, exactly. And then also the DHD team, and I know several of them are here. I believe Chris Dickinson-Prokop is here, who's the manager for the Development Finance Division. Aaron Wilson, the project manager was Ray Slade. And of course, this cannot be done without legal counsel and review, and that was Antoinette Moore. So I want to thank the DHCD team. Long haul on this, and really worth it when we are at this point we are today. Thank you. And really, getting this project to where we are now is in part because of Mayor Bowser's leadership. She has put more investment in the Housing Production Trust Fund over the last 4 years, $100 million each year. That is what enables projects such as these to happen. There are also, of course, other local and federal funds that we have, and I will get to that in a moment. But really, because we are using every resource possible and creating new resources like the Preservation Fund to do affordable housing preservation across the city, we are really in the vanguard and a leading city across the country, such that we've even been recognized by the Urban Land Institute with the Larson Award because of our creative, innovative, and sustained investment in housing resources. And again, that's to the leadership of Mayor Bowser and Deputy Mayor Kenner, and I'm delighted to be able to work with them on that. That's worthy of some applause. Thank you. But we could not do this without our federal resources. And for those who've been following the federal budget, you must know that this $10 million investment by the district is via the Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, critical federal resources that help creatively fund projects such as these. And that commitment we made several years ago upon application. The other innovative tool that we use here in the district is the consolidated RFP, where we combine the development finance resources, the social services resources from the Department of Human Services, the operating subsidies from the DC Housing Authority, and together we pull those resources together, one-stop shop, much more efficient, much more streamlined, much faster moving, together with our colleagues at HFA. That's how we get these projects to the finish line. That's how we make them happen, because they're not easy. And David, I think, gave you a hint as to the long and winding road on this one as well. There's Chapman, and he knows as well. There will be 75 units of permanent supportive housing. That's the hardest housing to build, and it's the housing that's most needed for our most vulnerable residents here of the district. I'm so proud. There's going to be a lot of housing built here on this campus, on the Walter Reed, at the parks at Walter Reed. This is the first project for homeless veterans. That shows the priority and the importance and is significant. I can tell you, and I think some of you know my background as not only an advocate, but as for the homeless, but as a service provider, as a developer with Transitional Housing Corporation, now Housing Up, which will also have a project here, and their offices, I believe, as well. I should know I did write that proposal many years ago, but I will tell you that that is a very significant element here, where it is about first serving our most vulnerable and ensuring that there is room in any neighborhood across the district for that. So I want to just conclude by saying that we are celebrating Memorial Day this weekend. The fact that this is a project housing homeless veterans is even more meaningful for where we are, where we're situated, and I think absolutely critical. We want our veterans who have served and sacrificed for our country we want to help them establish the permanent roots here in the district, the roots that will allow them to stay here and prosper here and thrive here, and to give back to all that they have given to us. So I look forward to breaking the ground as well. I'm delighted to be here, and now I'm pleased to introduce my colleague Todd Lee, Executive Director of the D.C. Housing Finance Agency. Thank you.
I believe that I am last on the agenda to speak, and as Councilmember Todd said, he's excited to turn some dirt, and so I will make an attempt to be as brief as I possibly can. Good morning. I am Todd Lee, Executive Director of the District of Columbia Housing Finance Agency, and I could not think of a better way to kick off my Memorial Day weekend. We do a lot of groundbreaking ribbon cuttings, as Polly alluded to. That's because together and our affordable housing, finance ecosystem in our city, as I like to refer to it, the partnerships that we have, with all of our public agencies, as well as the private sources of financing in our city, we actually do a lot of projects. But certain projects are really special, and it's surreal when they are really close and personal, and you can kind of reach out and touch some of the people that you're impacting, if not directly, but indirectly. David Watts is my chief of staff, and I happen to know that David gave up a portion of his early adulthood to walk the floors of the jungles of Vietnam. My executive assistant, Karen Harris, is a veteran of the United States Air Force. And so I couldn't help but think of them, as we were preparing, for today's ceremony. And so for those two, as well as the future residents of Help Walter Reed, right behind me, as well as the rest of the veterans, alive and deceased throughout the United States, in the history of this country, I want to say thank you. This project will receive permanent supportive housing vouchers for 75 units to house formerly homeless veterans. And that's just amazing and incredible. It's more than just affordable housing, but it's affordable housing with a purpose. DCHFA is thrilled to be a part of this redevelopment project. And our investment and we invested in this $18 million redevelopment project through the issuance of tax-exempt bonds as well as low-income housing tax credits. Help Walter Reed is financed using also $10 million in community development block grant funds from DHCD, as well as $9 million in local rent supplement vouchers from our housing authority. I want to thank TD Bank for buying the bonds that we issued. And I also want to thank the National Equity Fund for their investment in low-income housing tax credits. As Polly alluded to, the CDBG funding is what DHCD provided for this project, but our Housing Production Trust Fund has become our primary vehicle that allows us to put together financing that makes these types of projects work. The bond purchasers as well as the low-income housing tax credit investors underwrite these projects from an economics standpoint, and these projects simply do not work without our Housing Production Trust Fund. And so the leadership of Mayor Bowser, who committed $100 million per year in our HPTF for Housing Production Trust Fund, allowed this project to be done, and so I want to thank her for her leadership. Once again, And that commitment is going to, really be the driver for the other two affordable housing projects that will be developed right here at Walter Reed. Councilmember Todd, this, in my opinion, is one of the greatest economic development projects and economic engines, not just in the district, but, throughout the country. And for us to be able to include affordable housing in a project that has this much economic opportunity, I think is great. It's awesome. And I cannot wait to come back for the ribbon cutting as well. Let's turn some dirt.
Thank you, Director. I just want to do a couple pieces of housekeeping before we move to the dirt. One, I neglected to mention, as some of you may have noticed already, it's a hot day, right? And so we do have some water available. I think it's in a cooler near the wall there. So if anyone needs to hydrate, please do. Secondly, I left out someone to thank. There are so many. But as we talk about all of the great things that are going to happen here, I neglected to talk about our master developer, a partner who will be building all of the market rate projects here and who's done all of the infrastructure necessary to make this project possible. So I'd like to acknowledge the team from Hines, Urban Atlantic, and Trident. I see a few folks over there. Wave. And Chuck, I see you hiding in the back. Right, and so for anyone who's interested in knowing more about what will happen in the larger Walter Reed, these are the folks to ask as well as me. So now I'd like to ask all the speakers to come up and let's get ready to turn some dirt.
Hold on, everybody's gonna look right here first.
On the count of three, we're going to say thank you, vets. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you, vets. Miss. Are we gonna do a photo shot, please? So everybody can pick up some dirt.
Need some help, dear?
Hold on for 1 second. Right here. Everybody good? Everybody good? Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.